And we're back with another episode of What's Hockey. Keaton, the playoffs are coming up soon. We're going to go around that hockey, hit some headlines, talk some playoffs, and talk our teams. Let's get into it.
Yeah, well, it does look like Ovechkin got a couple goals in between our last podcast, and he's 5 away from the record with 9 games left in the season. What a beast!
I cannot believe that.
Would assume that dude, he's
run.
playing the Bruins tonight, or isn't it tonight, or something like that? Either way, but he's playing the Bruins. He's most likely going to get a lot of opportunities, being that the Bruins have been just abysmal all year. Just a disappointment overall. And I mean, just before the deadline, of course, they shipped out a bunch of stuff. So I mean, they're just working toward the future anyway. So. I would assume that they're just going to give him a bunch of opportunities there. Maybe look like to a time on ice bet. Who knows?
Maybe. The dude's just been on an unreal tear this season. Every week,
ever since he broke his leg and came back, and he's just been
even
stellar.
Before my God, broken leg, you come back so quick, dominate the way he had. It dominates a little bit of a stretch. We know how many empty net goals.
It is helpful that the Capitals are doing so well to give him those opportunities anyway, because,
for sure.
At the end of the day, if you're just trying to feed one guy, that's not always going to work. So, props to the Capitals being able to get that done anyway.
And the fact that it's also it's a career record. It's not just one season thing. It just goes to show. How dominant he's been the last 2 decades essentially, and then this year he hasn't slowed it all.
I don't know. He might have passed it already, but he might be under the games of Gretzky's record. So
I want to say he was still under,
right on par.
I could look it up.
I don't know. It's close. It's close. Man. So outrageous. He might not make that particularly, but still dominant for just as long. It's pretty ridiculous.
Let me see. Games played. He's played 4 less games, and he's down by 4 goals right now. 5 to break it. Good night, man. Yeah,
dude. If he gets 2 hat tricks, that's easy. Yeah. But hey, who knows? Speaking of consistency, we've got Sidney the Kid Crosby eclipsing Wayne Gretzky's record on the other side with most point per game seasons with 20. That's pretty ridiculous. I'm pretty sure that's every season for Crosby, and he most likely might play another season. I don't know how he feels on retiring, but that dude is consistent.
Drafted in 2005. Here we are 20 years later. That is I wonder how Gretzky's feeling about all this.
But,
I feel like Gretzky would probably be chilling and be like, that's just how it goes. But dude, at every turn, every record you set where everyone says that's not going to be touched, it is starting to be a little touched up right now. That's incredible, though.
Yeah. His point record's probably never going to be touched, but who knows? Who knows how long these guys keep playing. But,
and also, real quick, on that note, too, the point record being what it is, when you're Crosby and you average a point per game per season for 20 seasons and you're still not
with
close,
the Penguins,
that's outrageous how high of a level like Gretzky was playing. Good God. Okay. Yeah. Ridiculous.
But anyway, we've got John Tortorella getting fired, probably deservedly so, as the Flyers have been quite abysmal this year. Apparently, they hadn't had a regulation win since the 25th of February, before him getting fired, of course. Which that's pretty bad. That was about a month ago. Bradshaw indeed replaced him, being the former assistant coach, and I'm assuming over the offseason they'll probably shore up some sort of actual coaching staff. I don't know if Bradshaw will be in that picture, but I've seen where they've gypped a lot of other coaches before, so who knows. But it looks like he's getting it done. I think he's coached 3 games, and they're 3-0 so far. So not
new coach
terrible.
Bump.
And I do know that. That is. Well, not the worst teams in the world, but not the greatest, not the best teams. That's not the. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, we'll see what Tortorella does over the offseason if he gets signed up by a new coach. I mean, he was the oldest active coach when he was active. So, I mean, as far as age is a concern, if that is a concern for some franchises, who knows? I mean, he's got a winning record, 770, 648, 165. So, I mean, overall, I mean, not the worst, but, could be the old age is catching up to him and everyone knows what he's going to do. Who knows? But,
and to be fair, that roster isn't, anything to brag about, but to not having a regulation win in over a month.
I think I only know about Owen Tippett, so that's about it.
Yeah, they need some work everywhere on that team, but Torts.
That's about it though.
If he takes over a team, I mean, it's gonna be a team on a complete rebuild where expectations are not super high. They bring in an experienced guy to try to light a fire under young players, but other than that, I can't see a contender turning his way.
Maybe the Sharks. Who knows? I don't know if their coaching staff was changed recently. I've got terrible memory, and I don't really pay attention. But anyway, they're looking to rebuild. But moving on, we got Brad Marchand making his debut with the Panthers. Ends up getting an OT win, and he gets an assist on that OT win with Sam Bennett being that goal winner. So kind of a weird connection. Yeah, exactly. So pretty great game regardless. I mean, he's got 4 shots on goal, 2 block shots, 2 hits, and only 16 and a half minutes. That's pretty solid. So, I mean, he's putting in work. Maybe playing on a better team is making him play a little bit better. Who knows? Maybe he was just featured because he is debuting in the Panthers. Who knows? Could be a lot of factors. But, they look pretty solid going forward. So, I mean, as far as the playoffs are concerned, they're definitely going to be pretty tough to beat. We've got Leon Draisaitl making his debut from injury, getting 2 goals and eclipsing the 50-goal mark for his season. The first one to do it for this season. I'm doing pretty great. Looking like a favorite for the MVP, as McDavid hasn't been as, impactful, even though he still is an impactful player. Just hasn't been as impactful as he has been. Looking pretty great. Who knows? Oilers are pretty top heavy, so we'll see what happens there. We've got St. Louis coming in pretty motherfucking hot. They've got 9 games winning. I think their last 10 is 9-1-0. So they'll probably continue it because they play the Red Wings tonight. So look to get that potential 11-game winning streak going on their next game.
They've been hot, man.
Pretty good. They currently do hold that wild card 2 spot. So, maybe they'll hold off the Vancouver Canucks. Was it Flames and hockey clubs are there?
For the wild card on that end.
That's what it
Flames,
looks like.
Canucks.
And potentially the Ducks, if for whatever reason they're able to manage. But looks like they're kind of out of it.
Points.
It is kind of crazy, though. The Western side definitely has all the eliminated teams. Surprisingly enough, the Sabres haven't yet been eliminated, but definitely not going to happen.
You're saying the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, the Western has a bunch of eliminated teams.
Oh,
but the
with
Eastern
the
Conference
Sharks,
does not. Sharks, Preds, Blackhawks, and Kraken.
Yeah. But I mean, Sabres ain't catching that.
Right, exactly. I mean, they're not going to win, but they yet haven't been statistically eliminated. But anyway, it does look like much like last year, potentially at least, looks like that wild card 1-2 spot is just shored up already. Maybe Minnesota and St. Louis swap just because see what they do, because I know Minnesota's just kind of been in the slump, especially with a bunch of their injuries impacting their play. But we'll see
The
what
way the
happens
Blues
there.
have been
But
playing,
they've got
man,
to.
it's going to be really tough. I mean, they have played 2 more games in the Flames. Flames down by 5 right now. They could make up 4 in those 2 games. But, I mean, the Blues have just been on a mean tear. And, yeah, I guess Minnesota could be caught. You're right. They're battling plenty of injuries. I kind of expect them to hold on to that wild card spot. But, yeah, I mean, technically
Just one or two,
it
but
is
at least a
open.
wild card spot.
Yeah, yeah. Calgary and Canucks. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. Canucks have just kind of been shooting their foot for the last this last stretch. I think they were in the wild card 2 spot and kind of looked sure to be in the playoffs up until this point. So
Yeah, and I mean
looking pretty iffy over there.
In Calgary, so the Stars played Calgary. We can talk it more later when we get to Stars and Red Wings talk. But dude, I mean they were playing hard as hell against us. They just unfortunately for them, not for us, could not get it done. So I mean they're going balls to the wall right now. It's just unfortunate for them that with all the pucks on net, they couldn't score more against us. But we had a stone wall in front of the net, so there's nothing you could really do.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. We popped a brick wall up there, named it the Smith, and let it run, let it ride.
Yeah, that's great, dude. And I mean, as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, that's just a giant question mark. There's a lot of teams that haven't eclipsed 80 points on the season, and doesn't look likely that's that doesn't look good. A lot of other teams have eclipsed 80, and they're in the playoffs for sure. Looking at the Western Conference for sure, but this Eastern Conference has been just kind of a shit show. Nobody really wants to win. Nobody really wants to actually take control, because I mean, even Ottawa could be usurped for whatever reason. So yeah, kind of crazy. And I know the Lightning were playing pretty well. They were generally in the 3rd spot, maybe even the 4th spot, but they've jumped right up to 2. So I mean, they've been playing pretty well. And it looks like Washington's the only one that's clinched so far, which is kind of crazy.
That battle for the second wild card spot in the Eastern Conference, where you have the Canadiens, the Rangers, the Blue Jackets, Red Wings, and Islanders all within 3 points of each other, with the Rangers playing 1 more game than everyone else. Columbus has 2 more to go. But, I mean, that is outrageously tight. I think, that's one part of the reason you see that no one's, up in those, whereas the Western Conference, you're at 88 and 87 for the wild card, but in the Eastern Conference, it's 84, and then it drops 77. I mean, it's just stiff competition. I think each team is kind of in a similar phase as each other, where they do have some talent, but no one is, top to bottom on the roster, just stacks. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's wild, though, because we talked about the Rangers earlier in the season, like, completely disappointing us from last year. And, they're right there and have a chance to make the playoffs. We talked about the Red Wings going on a big run after they got rid of old boy looking like Gru. And then now, it's not looking so great. Columbus at one point looked like they got some great young guns. I love Fantilli, but they didn't, always look great. I think Merzlikins at times looks solid. Then at other times, he's just a leaking ship. So, and then the Islanders, we've talked about them before where I've mentioned, they're tough. I mean,
they shipped out Brock Nelson, so it kind of felt like they wanted to just get rid of it and look to the future. But I mean, they're still kind of in it. And I mean, they did win that spot last year. So, I mean, they know what it's like.
The Canadiens have that spot. As much as I was trying to, bash on the Flyers for beating the Canadiens during this run. The Canadiens,
man, they're not that bad.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong on that, man. It's wild, man, how I could look at every one of those teams and find flaws and feel that they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Yet you play those teams, man, and it's a fight. It's a battle. It is. Like, I think the Islanders, you're right. They shipped off Brock Nelson. I don't think they're extremely talented, but they will not allow you shots inside. I mean, they're a solid team too, man. So it's going to be an interesting end of the season for the Eastern Conference in that respect.
Yeah, and it is pretty kind of crazy. I mean, the wild card spot for the Eastern side doesn't even have a 40-win team. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Ottawa's right there at 39, but, everything drops off severely at 34, 35.
34, 35, yeah. On the Western Conference side,
great.
you got 41, 40, but then it does drop off, after that to Calgary at 35, Vancouver 34.
I mean, yeah. Exactly, but they're not
unlikely
in the wild card spot.
You're right, yeah. Well, and even in the Metropolitan, top three, of course, get in, where you have the Devils at 40 wins. You look over to the Western side, and Edmonton is the Kings are at 41 as well right there, but they do have a lot more points owing to, OT and stuff like that.
Old OT losses.
Yeah, and the Devils, too, that being said, they've played more games than anyone as well. Like, they're at 76. The Flyers have finally got 76, but no other team in the league is at that many games played. So, yeah.
And the Flyers suck ass, so.
And the Flyers do suck ass and don't really matter when it comes to the playoff picture. So, yeah, Jesus
Hey, who
Christ.
knows? This new coach bump could took a ride like the St. Louis Blues and just go on a 20-game win
for the final
streak
6 games, just win it all
or
win every game, win out. Yeah. If
yeah,
they do win out on their final 6,
I mean, I know the rest of the league the rest of the wild card fighting spot teams are not really looking to win. I mean, it's really tough. I know the Red Wings did take a win against the Bruins, but they're the fucking Bruins. And then we lost to the Senators, which we probably could have won that game. But
Senators
yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things
too,
that.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of games that we should have and could have won, because I know that the 2 games we played against the Capitals recently, we were right there in it. We were like, we had a 2-0 lead at one point in one of the games, and I know that we tied it up at 2-2 at one point on the other game, but we just let it get away. We ended up losing 5-2, ended up losing 5-1. So, I mean, it's just kind of maybe it was 1-1, not 2-2. But either way, yeah, it's just, tying it up and having that even strength, and I don't know, just letting it all slip away. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things like that, and the Rangers look like they were a sure spot for that wild card 2 spot. But I mean, they're tied for points, but they do have 1 game more played. So I mean, who knows if they'll actually make it? But I mean, they do have some talent. I mean, they had the President's Trophy last year, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. But
no, absolutely.
We'll see what happens as far as this playoff happens. I don't know. What we got, like 9 games or less for most teams.
Yeah, about 8 to 9 for the majority of the league is what it's really looking like. So, yeah, man, it's going to be damn entertaining on the Eastern side with all the variability possible. I will say on the Western side, it's looking extremely likely. I think I saw like a 99% chance that the Kings will line up and play the Oilers. I don't think there's a Western Conference team, Pacific Division team that can jump up and catch them. Calgary is technically the closest, it was Calgary Central? Had it right here.
No.
My fault. No, they're Pacific. Yeah, duh. Okay, yeah, no, they're 7 points behind, 9 games to go. I would expect that to be held on, so it's extremely likely. Kings.
It'll be an interesting matchup because I know the Kings are like really good at home. It looks like they're like literally the best home team of this season. So
we'll see on the McDavid. The McDavid health front's going to be a really big one because Draisaitl back.
He's supposed to be coming back before the season.
Okay,
I saw a note for that, and I didn't mention that. But yeah, he's poised to return before the playoffs. But I mean, who knows what happens between now and then? What if he stubs his toe?
In what condition he'll come back?
Yeah. Trips. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe a dog.
That being said,
bites
I
him.
know you were saying Edmonton. I know you're saying Edmonton's top heavy, and they are reliant on their stars. That being said, man, they've got plenty of players. I feel this season that can get to the net and score. Whether that be Hyman, Nugent Hopkins. No, man,
They're
like we played.
trash.
Stars played them.
They've got like 2 or 3
last
players. That's
Wednesday.
about it. They
Uh,
got Bouchard. That's cool. That's
Dog.
it.
I mean, without the two of them, they put up 44 shots on goal against the Stars.
I
And
mean,
we
now
do
they got
allow a
Jake
fair
Wallman,
amount.
so pretty
Yeah.
solid.
Look, and
Forgot about
low-key
that, to
Perry
be
was
honest.
kind of stepping up against us too, which I don't
He's
like to
trash.
see that. They got Henry.
Isn't he like 48 years old?
He might be 65. Who knows? But he was playing. I don't know. That I do think their team is a little
Trash.
deeper than they get credit for.
They're not.
But anyway, I know we briefly touched on Stars Red Wings. Do you want to hop into what they've been doing this last week?
Yeah, the Red Wings have been losing. Like I mentioned, we played the Avalanche. We were at Colorado, so wasn't too bad. Starting up, at least, we get a goal out of JT Comfort 6 minutes into the first, and about 44 seconds later, Avs tie it up and continue to put it up and get 4 more goals after that, and they win 5-2. So pretty great, depressing outlook for that aspect. I mean, with the Avs trade deadline moves, they're not the worst team in the world. So I mean, they're definitely pretty great. Austin Matthews definitely gets into the net, gets a goal, bounced up. Anyway. Note to PK Subban, he's an idiot. He mislabeled Austin Watson a few times as Austin Matthews.
Yeah, like 5 times.
Yeah, it's insane. Like he was like, yeah, Austin Matthews is a great player, and everyone's laughing. They're like, Austin Watson, and he's like, yeah, Austin Matthews, and it's like, no, dude. But anyway, ends up getting a goal and back-to-back games / nights. Otherwise eventful, but or rather uneventful. But yeah, we played the Senators next, and another tough loss, hard-fought game. We do take a 3-0 deficit pretty early. We do end up coming back from it, but it was a 4-3 loss. So it's not like we went into overtime or anything. But, I mean, all in the third period, we do get all 3 of our goals, potentially are able to tie it. But just couldn't end up finishing that game, which is a lot of the issues that we have is just not finishing. We finally end up winning against the Bruins, held them off in a 2-1 win. Casper had a great game, having a great year, to be honest. A lot of people have been chirping about him, he's saying like, probably going to be the rookie of the year, potentially, outside of maybe Lane Hudson or maybe a few other players. But he's been one of the best rookies, and I think he started his season in the AHL, or something like that. So he hasn't had a full season as a rookie. So, I mean, even better. But yeah, I mean, since McClellan took over, or maybe it's like January 22nd or something like that, he's like number 1 in like most categories. And he's been playing center. So, pretty tough to do at a younger age, just with the added responsibility of being a center. But yeah, I mean, he's been playing really well. Lucas Raymond does end up scoring the other goal, pretty solid for our younger players. And we ended up saving 20 out of 21 shots on goal, thanks to Talbot. I don't know if they've been pretty quality, because I know the Bruins are pretty trash. But, I mean, I'm just glad that we didn't really have to, sweat for this game. Kind of eased into it. But up next, we do play at the Blues tonight. Most likely going to lose that one. I don't know. I mean, who knows if the Blues feel just tired and worn out from their 9-game winning streak, or they're just hyped up and invigorated from that 9-game winning streak. So who knows? We'll see what happens, but it is in St. Louis, so most likely not going to happen. We do play the Hurricanes in Detroit at Little Caesars Arena. Most likely going to lose there. Pretty great. And then we play the Panthers up next. Pretty great. So
nice.
Not going to be a great stretch of games. And then we play potentially the Canadians on Tuesday if we don't happen to record that day. So looking like a 3-0 loss,
0-3?
Definitely. Yeah, pretty much. Not great. Potentially 4 losses.
Jesus, man.
But like I said, the Eastern side doesn't want to win, so who knows if the other teams in the fighting for that last spot end up losing as well. But not likely. Man. Overall, not too excited for this year, but hopefully next year we can actually bring up a lot of the players that we have a lot of great prospects that just haven't yet been integrated to our team. Maybe we just need to move around, make roster space, etc. But I don't know, man. I mean,
yeah.
I feel like with our goaltending play, we could have probably brought up Sebastian Kosha a lot earlier. I know he debuted just to relieve one game. I don't know if he ever played again, but just kind of outrageous. And then I think we have another Trey Augustine, I believe. He's been playing pretty well for his college team, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know much about it, but I just hear that we've got some good prospects, and the Iser plan has not yet been shot dead, but it's been taking a long time. So I do understand where we were and where it is now, but we still have some work to do, and hopefully we don't stretch it into 10 seasons of no playoffs. But
you'll
it's definitely going to be 9.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not going to have Gru to start the season next year, so maybe a full season will help y'all,
And the whole offseason with McClellan as opposed to, just recently within the last 3 months, 4 months.
So that, for your sake, hopefully leads to a better result next. Again, you're not even that far out of the playoffs. It is an extremely tough schedule, so while it might be unlikely, all the adversity you had going against you, where your head coach.
To be fair,
over
even
30 minutes or something,
it's not even an hour or something like that, because that was just outrageous. But I did see, that as far as just playoffs are concerned, if we didn't have McClellan, we would have been just eliminated most likely. But we're still keeping our head in and, playing like we should be playing, at least in most areas. We most likely just take over a period. It's not really a full game, which is kind of disappointing. But, at least we're taking over something. It's not like we're just outright losing every single time. We do have some pieces to work on, and just hopefully we can get that done. Just going to have to solo this, maybe. Who knows? So the Stars defeat the Kraken for the 6th straight win. So it looks like they've been winning a lot of games. They do end up winning 3-1 on the Kraken last night. The Kraken suck, so that makes sense. So not much of a caliber win, I would say, and they played them again Saturday and Monday. So, just not great. They only let 1 goal each in both games. So not much of a stiff competition. They did end up, like Rudy had mentioned, playing the Flames on Thursday. I know I'm going backward. This is pretty bad. But the Stars end up winning that game 5-2. But like you mentioned, the Flames playing hella hard. They got 48 shots on goal, and only 2 shots were in the net. So, not a great outlook when it comes down to that. But yeah, the Stars get 5 goals out of 19 shots. So that's the beautiful game of hockey. So yeah, kind of a crazy stretch. They also do play the Oilers on Wednesday, so they had a back-to-back and a win. Held off the Oilers 3. They did have 44 shots on goal again. I mean, just kind of limiting that output, making sure that everything gets taken care of. So, I mean, not too shabby, I'm not going to lie. But, yeah, we've got some great stretch of games coming up next. We've got motherfucking, let me see. Sorry, guys. Wednesday, April 2nd, we've got no games. So sorry to jump that pretty quickly. So Thursday, they play the Predators. Definitely going to be a win. They're probably going to stretch that to a 7-game win streak for the Stars. They do end up playing again on Saturday against the Penguins. Probably going to be an 8-game win streak at that point. So kind of crazy. They do end up playing a little bit of a stiffer competition in the Wild on Sunday. But honestly, I think that they're probably going to manage. They might be a little tired. They do play back-to-back. I think, what is that, Saturday and Sunday? Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, back-to-back games. So they might be tired. Who knows? It is a 2 p.m. game, kind of early with some regard. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, as far as just making sure that everything's taken care of, they're definitely shoring up that playoff spot, and they've already clinched it. So most likely, definitely going to, end up playing whatever on that 2 spot, or rather the 2-3 spot. So yeah, be interesting to see. But yeah, so we do end up picking the spread. Might be a little jumbled, but at least for my picks, sorry, Rudy is texting me, guys. So yeah, I'll go through my end of the picks. Maybe he'll come in and add his picks at a later point. Might be a little bit of an awkward play, but it looks like his Wi-Fi definitely went out. So just working with some technical difficulties on our end. So I do apologize, but we do end up looking like we got the Caps and the Bruins playing. They're in Boston. I believe the Bruins are +1.5. I'm going to roll with the Capitals. Like I mentioned before, Alex Ovechkin's probably going to get a lot of prime opportunities and most likely an empty netter. I don't think that the Bruins are ever going to get to that point of having an empty net, but we'll see. But yeah, that's my pick. I'm picking the Capitals. So the next up, we got Panthers and Canadians in Canada, aka Montreal. I'm going to roll with the Panthers, taking that -1.5. Regardless of the travel, I think they can pull it off. Next up, we got Sabres at Senators. I do like the Senators in this one. The aforementioned Buffalo Sabres are bad at playing hockey, so fuck them. Up next, we've got Predators at Blue Jackets. I'm going to roll with the Blue Jackets because I know the Predators do have some games that they've won, but just not really great games that they do win. Dude, I've been soloing this. I went over the Stars already.
Okay, nice. I appreciate that. Yeah. Sorry,
dude, he's coming back. I guess we can roll into. I mean, it was kind of awkward. If you want to do some rundown, you can. But I just went over the fact that y'all are on a 6-game win streak, so not too shabby on that end.
Yeah, we definitely are. Wyatt Johnson scored in every one of our games. I think he's on a 5-game goal streak. The last 4 games he scored goals.
It could be 4.
Robertson's been killing it. He had a natural hat trick in the game against Edmonton. As alluded to earlier, the stone wall and this and that, both Ottinger and DeSmith are outrageous. They're playing outrageous against Edmonton. Otter had 41 saves. Edmonton did, make a little bit of a run there, but that being said, he's the only reason we're in that game against the Flames. DeSmith had 46 saves. A trend I don't want to see going into the playoffs, the amount of shots on goal we've allowed, but the amount of saves and the way our goalies are playing has just been outrageous. Rope, Robertson, Rantanen, that line's been ridiculous. Duchesne and Marchment have had ridiculous chemistry. Definitely want to get shots on goal down for the opposition, but we've been playing great. I trust that you kind of hit most things, so I definitely won't spend too much time on it as we're short on time. Again, apologize for that technical difficulty, but thank you for carrying on and keeping this thing going. Let's jump straight into the spreads, the pick'ems. Last week, both of us actually went 5-5. So we tied on that. You're currently at 83-74. I am 70-87. You're solid. I'll give you that. All right, we're starting with Capitals.
The best out of these two people.
Yes, Capitals in Boston against the Bruins. It is Bruins plus 1.5. Who are you taking there?
I believe listeners might get an echo, but I'm taking the Capitals. Did go over a bit of the spread before you came in here, so I'm definitely rolling with the Capitals. The Bruins kind of suck ass. Yeah,
I'm going Caps as well. How far did you get, if you don't mind me asking?
Down to the Predators game.
Okay, gotcha. Well then, okay, I'll just give mine.
If you want to just pick your picks,
yeah, I will go with Canadians plus 1.5. That's a wild one, but they're fighting for the playoffs, and I'll take that. I'm assuming you took Florida there. I'm going to go with the Senators. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing here, but Senators minus 1.5 against the Sabres for me.
You want to pick Buffalo like an idiot.
You went with the Senators as well?
I did, yeah.
All right, I'm going with Blue Jackets minus 1.5.
Same.
All right. Let's see. Lightning and Islanders. Who you got there?
I'm going to roll with the Lightning. Islanders are trash.
I'm going to go with the Islanders. They're a tough fight. They're at home, and they're given an extra goal and a half. All right, moving on. Your team, Red Wings, are traveling to St. Louis. St. Louis is minus 1.5. Who are you taking there?
I'm going to take the Red Wings. We might lose, but we'll give them a hard-fought win.
Yeah, I do think the Blues are playing out of their mind right now. I'm going to take the Blues. I am.
Nice, dude.
St. Louis Blues minus 1.5. All right, Wow, Jesus Christ. Moving on, Calgary and Utah. In Utah, the hockey club is at minus 1.5. Who are you taking there?
I'm rolling with Calgary because I do not believe in the hockey club, even if they are home.
Clean sweep. I am going with the Flames as well. Moving on, Edmonton and Vegas. It is hometown Vegas minus 1.5. Who are you taking there?
I think I like the Oilers throwing in that plus 1.5.
Yeah,
they'll probably lose, but I do like that plus 1.5.
I'll say that Stuart Skinner has a rough game, and I'll take the Vegas Golden Knights minus 1.5. Moving on, the Sharks and the Ducks. Sharks and Ducks, fun game in Anaheim. Anaheim is minus 1.5. Who are you taking there?
I'm going to roll with the Sharks in this one, see what happens.
All right, Sharks plus 1.5 to Keaton. I'm going with the Ducks in that one, minus 1.5. That should be a pretty close game, if I'm being honest. I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see how that goes. And lastly, Winnipeg is traveling to L.A. where the Kings are minus 1.5. Who are you taking there?
Taking the Kings. Like I mentioned before, the Kings have been the best home team this season. So I think that they're going to continue that streak.
It's pretty hard to argue with you there, but I will, because Winnipeg has been
Okay.
downright damn good. So give me
They're
the extra
trash.
1.5 there on the road. Winnipeg will go and cover that, and I will make my comeback.
You probably want to get Winnipeg.
Jesus Christ, we need to cut that out. All right, and we
You're
finish
trash.
up with the prize picks. Keaton, last week, I believe both my players decided to be trash and not cover, so that's great. But this week, I'm hoping to break my losing streak that I've been on. I'm going to go ahead and go with a 3-man prize picks lineup that we've never done a 3-man. But I'm going Larkin, time on ice, over 20 and a quarter minutes time on ice, take the over. Alex Ovechkin, over half a point. And Jordan Kyrou, over 1.5 shots on goal.
Dude, nobody knows who that is.
He's a beast.
He could be. But, the prize picks outing for last week was a cashed out outing. You should always take my advice every single time in every fashion. Timmy Boy Stutzla with the cover on 2 out of 1.5 shots on goal, and Yanni Nyman, the unsung hero, with 3+ shots on goal. I think his line was just 1.5. So I mean, playing out of his mind that day. I'm rolling with a couple great picks. I've got Moritz Seider with time on ice over 24.5. And I'm rolling with Brady Tkachuk's hits under 3 hits. So he's not going to be hitting. He's going to be playing a very modest game tonight.
All right. Well, we'll hopefully come back as winners next week. I believe that'll do it for us
as
this
always.
Week. Yeah, sure. Keaton, am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
All right.
Look to see me winning in the cover spread thing as always.
Sure.
So
I'm sure. All right. Well, y'all take it easy. Peace out.